How the English love the seaside and the sea, so much that when they go down to it, naturally in boats, they behave as if they owned it. The English have taken to small boats like the proverbial ducks to water. Flying Dutchmen, sunfish and dragons like these at Torbay prove that the sport of princes has become truly democratized. Britannia may no longer rule the waves with gunboats, but there's no doubt who's leading the field when it comes to messing about in boats. The Danes take it much more seriously. At Esbjerg, Denmark's biggest fishing port, boats mean business and ships are a way of life. Esbjerg has a fleet of more than 500 fishing motor vessels, slightly less than Hull, so the British are still ahead in the North Sea cod stakes. But the Danish instinct for efficiency in farming land or sea has built them a highly concentrated industry with very little wasted effort. Esbjerg's got a unique streamlined servicing depot, keeping everything shipshape for those long weeks spent inside the Arctic Circle in all weathers. Together, shrewdness and that old Viking spirit bring in 35,000 tons a year. But looking at boats, it's almost impossible to forget the British. On the island colony of Bermuda, boats mean all kinds of things, but in the old town of St. George's, on St. George's Day, they mean being almost more British than the British. The occasion is the ancient Peppercorn Ceremony, and the local Freemasons give the governor 1 peppercorn as token payment for use of the State House, a tradition that's not entirely without purpose. It happens right at the beginning of Bermuda's high summer and gets the tourist season going with the kind of quaint solidity that Americans most admire about the British. The next thing Americans discover, after navigating the street signs and souvenir shops, is that Bermuda is an island of 60 religions and many more beautiful churches. The nearest thing to a cathedral is a half-finished pile of stones abandoned when the building funds ran out. Perhaps it's the nearest thing you'll see to an instant ruin. But religion must seem almost irrelevant in a community where seafaring traditions predominate. Everywhere there are reminders of more piratical days, lovingly preserved. Americans on holiday are postmasters at appreciating other people's history. At home, we tend to think of them as preoccupied with modernity, especially when it's bigger and better. Take a place like Long Beach, California, a place that could have been just another sleepy seaside town, until they made what they call a resort metropolis rippling with industrial muscles. But when they want something really big, they get it from Britain. Long Beach has bought the Queen Mary. It's not that they are sentimental about Cunard's cast-offs. They think the QM has a future as a holiday attraction centre. Stout testimony to America's keenest tradition, salesmanship. The dockside oil wells are sufficient reminder that this is a real business proposition. The Queen Mary will never sail again. It's to be a permanent palace of seaside varieties. They haven't quite finished the refurbishing, but soon it will lie in a special dock of its own, probably better, if not bigger, than the ship that used to sail the Atlantic. Ships, it seems, can be made into anything. At the fishing village of Aberdeen on the island of Hong Kong, they're more versatile than anywhere. The junks of Hong Kong are used to unload the great cargo ships, which cannot find a dockside berth. But they are much, much more to the people who live on them. Aberdeen is a village on the water. Junks and sampans are homes. Some of the people who live on these boats have never set foot on dry land. For those who do trust a firmer footing, there's one of the most colourful and exotic markets in Asia. But there are shops that do the rounds, house to house, or rather junk to junk service. It's a far cry from the up-to-date technology of Denmark's 20th century fishing industry, but the aim is just the same. Those who don't earn their livings unloading cargo are fisherfolk, and the never-ending work of repairing nets is as efficient as a man's hands. A man making a sampan is, in fact, building a house. It may seem primitive, but the amenities of the modern world are spreading. 2 giant power stations are being built by British firms, bringing light and power to Hong Kong's own economic miracle. For though it may seem just another quaint backwater, Aberdeen was at one time an insufferable slum. Over 1 million people have moved from the shacks, junks and sampans to live in bright, new, modern flats. So, in contrast to those of us who've just discovered the fascination of the sea, these people are introducing themselves to the mod cons of terra firma.